Today I am visiting Orleans House Gallery in Twickenham, and I invited the founders of Alice in Hackneyland to tell the story about the exhibition.
It's a conversation that happened a year ago with Orleans House, but if you're talking about the artwork itself, it's something that we dreamed up from the beginning of Alice in Hackneyland. It's kind of like an iteration of one of the projects that we wanted to complete, and we just adjusted it in a way to accommodate the commission and respond to their brief.
Respond to the history of Orleans House, sort of the themes that run around it, the historical undercurrents of the time. So that's kind of how we adjusted it. So we tried to incorporate things such as dishes from the banquet for Queen Caroline, the pineapples that were a big hit back in Georgian era, so things like this. But it's a sort of kind of an ongoing project in a sense that started, and again, as we mentioned before, we're quite new in the sense that Alice in Hackneyland started up a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
in March 2019. So really in response to observing how our older daughter interacts with art and what she's interested in. And again, the idea is to make this a fun, mesmerizing Wonderland-like experience that's easy to access to anybody really, kids, adults.
People who aren't interested in art, everyone really. I mean, a lot of fun. The exhibition was on for a month before we went into lockdown. And the general response from everyone is that it picks up their mood. Like they walk away, their spirits, and they walk away being much happier.
It's sort of like, I mean, we just installed a Christmas tree in our house, and all of a sudden things started looking up a bit festive. So that's what we wanted to create with the pink, and the pink seemed to have worked really, really well.
We think about her when we're creating the piece. We think about us as like everybody connecting with that sort of that feeling. That's why people get lost there when they see the work, because they're connecting with old memories, and because there's so much detail in the work itself, not only to do with banquets, but to do with like playing toys, to do with all types of things, even up till current sort of issues with COVID. There's a mask in there as well. It was the mask I actually used to spray paint majority of the pieces. We actually rebuilt two of the tables, the stand underneath the fireplace.
And I think it's one of the challenges we had. Orleans House Gallery has got very high ceilings. So, I mean, Jonathan has actually reworked a lot of the pieces that went into the exhibition to create that, the height.
Well, because if you look at a normal banquet, it's all very flat. What they use on normal banquets is that they have flowers to elevate and create a certain sense of height, but generally it's all very flat. So what we've done is kind of exaggerated certain things, like light posts with the bird cages, the candlesticks. A lot of the other objects were found in charity shops, a lot of the recycled and reused before.
Our neighbors have given us a lot of stuff.
The Ames room, and it was an early idea.
Part of the inspiration was, the whole Alice in Wonderland theme, growing big and small at the same time. So that's obviously inspired by it. Part of the other inspiration, of course, is the sort of the optics behind it, which is fascinating. And, this whole reversal of perspective, Alice in Wonderland tried to make whatever we make educational as well, because, there's that artful, playful experience to it. We tried to link that room, or the experience of being in that room to Orleans House itself, or the Octagon Room. So Octagon Room is a very fine example of Baroque architecture, which is very sort of specific, very playful, very elaborate, very exuberant space, which you don't see that much of, at least specifically coming from the early 1700s. And the link with Orleans House was the piece of Baroque architecture, and creation of perspective was one of the key themes for Baroque artists. So we're trying to sort of reverse engineer the perspective. So I think that's kind of where we're also the thinking behind it.
Have you got a new project as a cooperative?
As a cooperative, we're working on a few things. I mean, yes, with COVID, there's been a lot of sort of postponed projects, and we're just kind of waiting on how things will go. But we're always working on new things. All the individual artists are working on their own thing.
After the gallery, you can come to the courtyard called Stables, which has a wonderful little cafe. You can grab your tea and coffee, and a little pastry, sit outside. And I hope to see you soon. Maybe we can come together to one of these galleries.